Heights, who will bring us the invocation and lead us in the pledge. Thank you, Pastor Finley.
And thank you, Ms. Bola. Let's pray. Father, we come to you. We thank you for an opportunity to gather here today. And we thank you for this school board and our superintendent and all the leadership that pours so much time and so much love into our children. And Father, I thank you for the privilege of being able to be here from Keystone Heights, home to a great school, home to great teachers, home to a wonderful principal, home to wonderful students, and home to the state weightlifting champions. Amen. Father, I pray that even from our end of the county, we'll be able to represent this county well, that our school board will represent our county well, to represent all the people that make up this great county, and that, Father, even tonight, you would use this to bring about a great future for our students, a great hope for bright days ahead, and that, Father, you'd bless this board with your wisdom, bless them with your favor. We ask this all in your name. Amen. If you'll join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. The school board meeting for today is May 6th, 2021. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's school board meeting. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you wish to address the board or on an agenda item, there will be an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please fill out a card, and I already have a few cards up here, so if you have not filled out a card, please find them in the back of the room, fill one out, and hand it to one of our officers. Thank you. On the card, please indicate the specific item number or topic you wish to speak about and turn it in promptly. No additional cards will be accepted once the board moves to the public comment section under presentations from the audience. Your participation is welcomed and appreciated. And as we said earlier, we've got some recognitions and awards to do tonight. So Mr. Scrolmo, would you please lead us off in our first? An exciting evening.
All right, good evening, board. Good evening, Superintendent Broski. Just an unbelievable group of young men that we're about to bring up, but before we do that, let's see if we can get the first slide up there. You know, when COVID struck, there was a lot of concern about learning loss for students. That was something that even around our nation right now, there's still states that are struggling with learning loss, not here in Clay County. It's so exciting to see that we were able to open, we were able to have athletics, which is so important for the social, emotional learning for our student athletes. And not only have they gotten it done on the field, they've gotten it done in the classroom. This is the final report card, including spring sports. Clay County student athletes had a combined 3.37 GPA. I commend our coaches, our athletic directors, our administrators for having high academic standards, because I truly do believe, as they do, that athletics are a springboard for high academic achievement. So thank you. Tonight we're honoring some young men that accomplished something that coaches and athletes go their whole career without accomplishing. I played professional baseball myself, and I never won a state title. So it's really, really cool that these young men made these accomplishments. Our first state champion is from Clay High School. He's a senior. He won the 129-pound division, and his picture is going to come up. Oh, I think I got the ability to get him up there. Maybe. Oh, I'm doing lights everywhere. Maybe not. There we go. So the reason, I know it's cute, isn't he? He looks like a little old man. So I picked a really bad day to come award him. It was senior dress-up day as a senior citizen. So what a time to come award him the state champion from Clay High School, Mr. Isaiah Jones. Mr. Superintendent, come on down. Our second state champion won the 154-pound division. And this morning, we had our all-county individual awards selection meeting, and I was looking at the all-county team, and this young man and the next young man actually duked it out in our own county. So we have a guy on the second team all-county that won a state championship, which is kind of crazy. This young man is a senior from Ridgeview High School, the 154-pound state champion, Mr. Alex Buford. And take note, that was the ultimate flex. He wore his Athlete of the Week shirt, too. So I like that. Our next winner from Fleming Island High School, just a great young man, and what came in second in all-county. Alex beat him by 20 pounds for the all-county team. Didn't stop working hard because he won a state championship, 154 pounds. Will Stevens. The next two young men represent Keystone Heights High School, who also won as a team. And the first individual we'd like to recognize was the 169-pound state champion, Cade Sanders. Keystone's in a good spot. Mr. Sanders is only a junior. Our next state champion, 139 pounds, also a junior, Mr. Zach Glover. Come on down. Coach Lowry. They don't like to have fun, do they? Oh, too fast. There we go. Our final two recognitions tonight. It's one thing to have an individual state champion. It is a totally different thing to have a team. In Clay County, we could not be more proud. There's only 3 classifications in the state of Florida in weightlifting: 1A, 2A, and 3A. Clay County won 2 of the 3 classifications in the entire state. This team had two individuals placed first, a second place, a third place, 3 kids placed fourth, a 5th, and a 6th place on their way to a 1A state title. And I'm just going to say this. I get to see a lot of different teams as the county athletic director. Coach Lowry, Coach Reynolds, Coach Dickinson. This team has one of the strongest cultures in Clay County. These kids pull for each other. They want to see their teammates do well, and they work extremely hard. The 1A state champions, the Keystone Indians. The whole team. Good job, fellas. Coach Lowry just told me that they are returning 11 of their 13 lifters for next year, so watch out in 1A. Our final recognition of the night is the 3A state champions from Fleming Island High School. This group had one student athlete place first, two placed second, two placed fourth, a sixth, an eighth, a ninth, and an 11th. 3A is the largest classification in the state of Florida. I will tell you, this program is a direct reflection of their football program that made a historic playoff run this past fall as well. Coach Springs does an outstanding job, and all of his staff. The 3A state champions, the Fleming Island Golden Eagles.
Thank you, Mr. Scrollwell. Mr. Broski will be soaking his hands later from all of these handshakes. Our next group of recognized students, looking forward to this, Ms. Radel, if you would come forward for our winning teams from Math Field Day. Woo!
I know I wasn't the one called up, but I want to take just a moment. If you didn't have an opportunity, on April 24th, we had an exciting morning filled with math field day events. It was just an amazing time. Like when you hear the celebrations, congratulations, boys, by the way. That's a huge accomplishment. When you hear the getting back to normal and having these opportunities, this was one of those activities that has always been an annual event that our children look forward to, as well as our families. So I am super thrilled, and I just want to take a moment to thank my coaches. So I had Tiffany Radel, Kevin Leary, April Shipley, who put together in a very arduous time an outstanding activity that kids could be joyous, collaborate, have a fun time. And I'm just very proud of you. And I know the kids had an amazing day too. And I just want to thank all the volunteers that were there that day. Ms. Clark came out and scored all day. I know, but so I just want to take a moment to say thank you for showing up and being a part of that. And I'm just very thankful for my team. All right.
Let's hear it for the kids who did some math on a Saturday, right? So we gave away tons of awards that day. We give away individual. Every kid competes against their own team for the highest winner. We give away Muggins. If you've never played Muggins, it's a really fun board game where you add, subtract, multiply, and divide. We had highest winner bracket and highest score bracket. Then we have bronze, silver, gold, third, second, and first place for each grade level. So today, we're going to recognize those schools that came in first place in 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. So our 4th grade first place team comes to us from Lake Asbury Elementary. When I call your name, come on up. We have Ava Davey. Joseph Nickick. James Surensey. Noah Taylor. Heidi Whitaker. And Alexis Williams. And our 4th grade team is coached by Debbie Serta and Sophie Willardson. Our first place team in 5th grade comes to us from Patterson, Cooper Blackwood, Brennan Fogarty, Lily Gaskins, Kate Hansen, Olivia Osteen, and Lucas Pham. Okay. And that team is coached by Tracy Shannon. Our sixth grade first place team comes from Tynes, Cole Conti, Connor Foss, Hunter Jeanette Carter, Malik Ignacio, and Khalees Wheeler. This team is coached by Jennifer McDonald.
Mr. Broski, if you would stay at the podium, please. We still have one more state champion to announce.
Well, first of all, let me just say how nice it is to have students here at the school board meetings again and a return to normalcy. How about a big round of applause for all those students? Now we're going to take a moment to honor an adult. You know, I was looking back at the history in Clay County of people who have reached the state level and have won the State Teacher of the Year, State Assistant Principal, or State Principal of the Year. And there's only one that I can think of from the early 90s. And so this is quite the honor, to say the least. For those of you who didn't hear the news, Jen Halter was named the State Principal of the Year for the state of Florida. How about a big round of applause? So a couple things. I haven't been a principal before. Let me tell you that it's a challenging job. And in today's world, and especially this year, there's no more challenging year than this year to be in any sort of leadership position with all that's going on. I will say this, Jen Halter's a professional. She demands perfection from everyone around her. You know, when you set the standard high, if you set the bar high, you know what? People will reach that or they'll come pretty darn close to it. As a result, Green Cove Springs Junior High has been an A school under her leadership. She has done a fantastic job of motivating others, as you're going to find out later on if you stick around to the climate and culture section towards the end, which many of you won't, but trust me, does an awesome job with her faculty. I'd like to bring Ms. Halter up and her family for some photographs and present this plaque to her. While she's coming up, it says, Jennifer Halter, Principal, Green Cove Springs Junior High, in honor of being selected by the Florida Department of Education as the state of Florida's 2021 Principal of the Year, representing Clay County District Schools with pride, Jennifer Halter. Guess what? You are the principal of the year, state of Florida, right here, Jen Halter. Everybody out there, Jen Halter.
Let's see what this looks like. We would love to get a picture.
Get in the middle. Thank you. I'm so happy. I'm good. Yep, it's the original. Yeah, so we actually used to have one. I would just like to say it is an honor to serve Clay County. It's an amazing community here, and when we moved to Clay County right after college because my husband grew up here and is a product of Clay County schools. So we are proud to be here, and I am a great leader only because of every leader, a lot of you that are in this room, because from the parents to the community leaders to the district leadership, the fellow principals that we have grown and led together, and I learned from all of you. So thank you for all the support. My parents especially, they took me and taught me how to make sure that all kids are heard and supported. And so it's a pleasure, and I'm so proud of Clay County and being able to represent this great county. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are students, I do believe you have school tomorrow, don't you? So it would be probably not be a good idea for us to keep you out too late. So we're going to encourage you if you'd like to leave now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll give it just a moment. Although we do not have a school showcase tonight, I think that was pretty much as many schools as we could get in one evening. That was great. This is the last call for comment cards. This is the last call for comment cards. If anyone has a yellow comment card that they would like to turn in, please turn it in now to one of our officers. And as the revelry continues outside and the doors close, very good. Our first speaker this evening is the Honorable Karen Lake, who is the mayor of Keystone Heights, Florida. Karen's going to be talking about the resolution from the city of Keystone Heights. Mayor Lake, we're happy to have you here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. And what a night to come, right? Keystone
Absolutely.
representing. This is fantastic. Good evening, Superintendent Broski and honorable school board members. My name is Mayor Karen Lake, and I'm from the city of Keystone Heights. I am really happy to be here with you this evening, and it's my joy to advocate for the residents, whether inside or outside city limits. I'm here to present you with a resolution which passed 5-0 at our April meeting. I'd like to share with you the logic behind our decision, which, like this body, diligently considers every decision very seriously. Keystone Heights Elementary School is one of the oldest structures in the county, having been built in 1927 as a K-12 school. It's embedded in our community physically, as well as socially and emotionally. And I know you've probably heard this before, but we love our schools. We love them. Here's where it's a little different. Since the district began running buses, the City of Keystone Heights has partnered with the school board to shut down Pecan Street twice a day to accommodate a bus loop on our public road to pick up and deliver students to school for you. At the high school, traffic effectively shuts down Orchid Avenue to one lane 5 days a week until all students have been privately driven or picked up and dropped off for school. I can share, at times, this has angered some of our neighbors. At the request of the school district, the city agreed to make Orchid Avenue a continuous school zone from 6:30 in the morning to 3:17 in the afternoon, so students can safely cross the street from the high school to the elementary school or vice versa anytime during the school day. And when the district wanted to install a covered walkway at the bus loop to protect students from the weather, we agreed you could build it on the city's right-of-way. We have been in the partnership arena with you for a long time. I'm glad they're so happy. While there have been renovations and updates along the way, the truth is Keystone Elementary is an aging facility. I remember asking Jim Connell, a retired assistant superintendent of facilities, about building a second story on the original structure of the school to build capacity. His response was, "Karen, we don't build a second floor on a building that's older than 50 years of age. We tear them down and start over." As a consequence, this aging facility is impacting our community property values. And as property values continue to rise, more people are going to notice that the school district doesn't want to take care of the school. In fact, this aging facility is not drawing people to the City of Keystone Heights. And this aging facility sends a very negative message to staff, students, and parents that the district doesn't value our living conditions as much as you value someone who hasn't even moved here. I am here today to share with you, yes, the people who live in the south end of the county are just as deserving of a new school as the people living around the Outer Beltway. 18 months ago or so, members of the administrative staff came to Keystone and spoke with many different civic organizations and members of the community about the Ed First plan, which is a half-cent sales tax referendum. You came before council and you shared with us you did an extensive evaluation of all of the district's facilities, and our school would benefit the most because we were near the top of the list for a new school. Some of our citizens didn't vote for the tax, not gonna lie, because in our cynicism, we knew that you were just flattering us to get us to help you to pass the referendum. And in our cynicism, find it unsurprising today that you would take that away from us. Nothing dramatically has changed in time. The Outer Beltway is still being built. We're expecting loads of families to move to Clay County. The only thing that has changed are the administrators who are ranking the priorities. My appeal to you this evening, Mr. Brodsky, and really I'm speaking with you, your response to the Ed First plan for the City of Keystone Heights is to offer up another renovation of our elementary school cafeteria. Our school is at 111% capacity. A renovated cafeteria is not the answer to aging plumbing, narrow sidewalks, flooding, or 3-generation portables. Let that sink in. On behalf of the City of Keystone Heights City Council, I'm asking you to continue this great partnership by prioritizing a new school inside the City of Keystone Heights, because that's where both schools and another school board property reside. I'm asking not for more than we need or deserve. I'm asking we be treated equitably with respect to the Ed First plan. When you build those 2 new schools created by the Outer Beltway, I ask that you build a 3rd one in the City of Keystone Heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lake.
Can we have questions?
Ms. Bullock?
Thank you. Mayor Lake, I'd like you to please read the resolution. I think you gave everybody a copy of the
No,
resolution?
I have the copy. I have
Okay,
the-
all right. If you would read the resolution.
Want to give them to Ms. Chief Wagner?
And Ms. Honora, when she reads it, would you please make sure this is included in our minutes? I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much. I have one.
Okay, it's rather lengthy, but I would like for you
Thank
guys to
you.
hear it. This is what our council felt would be a strong message to the school board about our schools. Whereas Assistant Superintendent of Operations for Clay County Schools, Dr. Mike Kemp, presented to the mayor, city council, and to other various organizations throughout the Keystone community the Ed First plan, of which the Keystone area would benefit from the implementation of this plan via a sales tax referendum for the Clay County schools. And whereas in 2020, the referenced sales tax referendum was approved by the voters of Clay County, Florida, and whereas the Ed First plan includes a new K-5 elementary school to be constructed on an empty lot across from the current Keystone Heights Elementary School, and the current elementary school would be updated as a new middle school, and the Keystone Heights High School would serve students in grades 9 through 12. And whereas the plan continues to reduce overcrowding and the use of portable classrooms and is a much-needed improvement in the Keystone community, and whereas the Keystone Heights Elementary School is one of the oldest Clay County schools in overcapacity more than any other school in the school district, and whereas Keystone Heights Junior High School opened 47 years ago in 1974, and whereas the plan for our educational community needs to be prioritized to serve currently enrolled students before projected students who are not yet part of the Clay County School District. And whereas the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, finds that the adoption of this resolution is in the best interest of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, and its citizens, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida, that the City of Keystone Heights, Florida as follows. The City Council of the City of Keystone Heights, Florida adopts the recitals outlined above, and it incorporates them herein as part of this resolution. Be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights recognizes the importance of quality education, facilities, and opportunities for all students in Clay County, Florida. Be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights supports the use of available funding to provide an enhanced educational environment that acknowledges the need for social distancing while promoting a safe and secure learning environment. Be it further resolved, the City Council of the City of Keystone Heights implores the Honorable Clay County School Board, Superintendent Broski, and the school district staff to increase the annual appropriation for the construction and renovation of the aged and dated school facilities that serve the students of Keystone Heights, Florida. This resolution shall take effect immediately, and it was duly passed, 5-0.
Thank you. I have a couple more questions, if I can have time to do that.
Yes.
Scott Johnson recently posted on News for Clay, objectively speaking, which part of Clay County do you think needs a new school the most? 75% said the Keystone schools. What issues are you hearing for the residents of the Keystone community?
Well, I really, we love our school. Bottom line is, I think we've made do with very little for a lot longer than some other people could do. And because there are such caring people who have been in the schools for a long time, they've made that happen. And, I'm really proud of the job they've done with what they've been given.
I have a couple more. I don't know if anybody else does. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, I'm obviously the one that has the questions. We know the outer beltway will stimulate growth. Can you tell me about current projects or in the next few years regarding the Keystone's growth?
Yes, in fact, we have two projects under discussion. There are two parcels that are under contract by different entities. One of the parcels is 13.88 acres. It would include 56 residences, family residences. And the other project that's already been through planning and zoning and has been approved is 30 acres, and it would be between 150 and 180 houses inside city limits. So it'd be actually there'd be in our limits. So there is significant growth potential there, yes.
Thank you.
I have a question. So you said that staff came down and spoke at your council meeting. What was the message from our staff when they came?
The message from staff when they came down to the council meeting was fantastic. We were incredibly optimistic because we're on top of the list, and I think we've waited in Keystone for a long, long time to rise to the top of the list, and there we were. So, I think we worked especially hard, some of us, to really make that message known in our community. Look, we need this sales tax. We absolutely need it. We're going to be a beneficiary of this sales tax. And that was the message. It was a great message.
Can I ask who came? Do you remember who came?
Oh,
from the
Ms.
district?
Kara Gass. Dr. Kemp? Dr. Kemp, I think Bryce was down, Bryce Ellis, and maybe Mr. Fawcett, and I think there was one other, Mr.
Okay,
Sweatland.
so it was the team. It was the department that came down.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going back to what you just said about 150 to 180 homes and 56 homes, and that's within the city of Keystone.
Yes, ma'am.
So I guess my question is, where are we going to put those kids? Are we going to have to look at redistricting? We're going to have a problem if we have this growth going on and it's already on your books. I guess
Yes.
that's not really a question, it's more of a statement,
Yeah,
but I'm
it's-
shocked to hear those numbers.
Yeah, I have to defer back to the school board on that one because we know that the larger project is really geared towards affordable housing. So they're looking at using the Affordable Housing Act to build homes in the $250,000 to $275,000 range, which would qualify those homes for 0% interest.
Wow.
And so that's the market, is the $250,000 to $275,000.
And Mr. Brodsky, you probably know this. What's the formula that we associate with each home?
Every 100 homes generates approximately 21 elementary students.
21 elementary students, okay.
Thank you. Recently, thank you to Bryce and the team, you walked Keystone Elementary School and Keystone Heights High School when the feasibility site inspection was taking place. What were some of the issues that you noted? I know that I was with you when you walked the Keystone Elementary School, and you were we went on to the high school, so what were some of the issues that were noted there?
I think what we noted mostly was out in the portable area. The portables are sadly deteriorating. I know when we got to the ag area of the high school, there was so much deterioration on the bottom of the portable, and there was such green mold everywhere. It was really, it looked really like an unhealthy place to be, to me. So it was sad.
Thank you. I don't have any more.
I have one more. I'm back to thinking about all these homes coming. What are you guys doing in the city council? I know I was down there and I saw you've renovated the beach.
We
So
have.
what are you doing to attract families? Obviously, families are going to want to
Yes,
go
and
down.
we want families to come. We're very family-oriented community. Well, recently we were the recipients of the CARES Act, and with that money, we did renovate the pavilion, which I'm very happy many of you came down to our grand opening. And in that money, what we did was we put some charging stations down at the beach and all of our public spaces, so that we created a Wi-Fi zone, so that anyone can come down to our public space and charge their device and work or play, and it's really incredible. The entire park system is under Wi-Fi. And as the construction finishes with DOT up 21, what we plan to do is take that Wi-Fi zone all the way downtown, and additionally to benefit our businesses, because we need to offer some more for those folks. We've also started a trailhead. There's lots of projects underway that we're really proud of that is improving Keystone Heights.
Mayor Lake, thank you for your time this evening.
You're welcome.
We
Thank you
greatly
so much for the
appreciate you
additional
coming and
time.
sharing all of the information that you did. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
I just have one further statement. Mayor Lake, thank you and the city council for presenting this resolution. I know you are a hands-on mayor, giving major support to our schools, attending junior high honor roll, recognitions, working with me on new signage recognition, Keystone Heights High School graduation, dual enrollment programs, even addressing gator removal at a retention pond. So I know you've done a lot. And having you, I'm sorry that I was unsuccessful in having you placed on the regular agenda. I did try to do that, Mr. Broski. I do appreciate you trying to resolve this. And Ms. Bola, a point of reference, you were the chair when I placed the item regarding the Orange Park Art Guild recognition on the agenda with not a single issue or concern about that placement. Thank you, Mayor Lake.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Smitty Huffman. If you would please state your name and your address.
Smitty Huffman, 5040 Sagebrush Avenue, Keystone Heights. And it was a pleasure to see all the kids. I think I've taught about a third of them, but they were only about that big then. I'm a retired teacher, over two decades of experience. Taught in Duval County, taught at the Bowl School, taught at Clay County for the remainder of my last 16 years, and just recently retired. I'm very familiar with a lot of the facilities in Clay County. I remember working at Oakleaf when it was a junior high, and actually having to take propane tanks and burn the netting off the facility fields so that the kids wouldn't trip on the cleats. And I think Mr. Fossil was there at the time. So there's needs throughout the county, and I applaud the majority of the voters of Clay County recognizing that. My heart's in Keystone, and my wife hates me to use this term, but Keystone feels like they're the redheaded stepchild of the county. And since she has red hair, she gets mad at me every time. But Keystone, and I taught at McRae, and I'm familiar with the Keystone area too. McRae, I taught in portables that were over 25 years old, and the actual insulation underneath the portables would never get this portable warm in the wintertime. And you had a difficult time keeping them cool in the evening or during the day when the summertime, when it got hot. But they've done better at that. But I went to several board meetings and several presentations, and I want to and I'm not as eloquent as Mrs. Lake, all right, but basically Keystone was one of the top priorities when it came to new facilities and all because of the age of the facilities. And everybody goes by McRae and they think it's a new school. It's actually the newest school in the Keystone area is 25 years old. And I learned something today about how old Keystone High School was. So I did my best to get the approval and promote the half-cent sales tax in the Keystone area. And I had some reservations doing that, but my understanding was that Keystone would be a top priority. And I just hope that that doesn't change, and hopefully that priority will stay, if not the top, at least one of the top. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Huffman. Julie Smith. Once again, if you could read your name as well as your address.
Forgive me because I'm not comfortable doing this, but it's something I thought was important. So my name is Julie Smith. I'm 4882 Raggedy Point Road in Fleming Island. I am on my third child coming through Clay County schools, 2 of them having already graduated, and then 1 in elementary school. In light of Education Commissioner Richard Corcoran's directive to Florida Public Schools regarding not requiring masks for the 2021-2022, school year, I am asking you all to clarify what the school board plans to do going forward. A few things I'd ask you to consider at this time. Clay County Fair was held April 1st through April 11th and had record attendance numbers. No masks were required and positive COVID cases remained relatively the same, including the 1.8% morbidity rate. Per the governor, the supply for the vaccine currently outweighs the demand, meaning that those who are eligible that desire to be vaccinated can do so without issue. This was supposedly one of the front-runner reasons I was told masks were required to start with, so as to protect loved ones at home, since children were far less susceptible, but could take it home to their loved ones at home. St. John's Classical is a Clay County public charter school. They have not had a mask mandate this year. It was optional, and they have had no significant reported COVID outbreaks. Area children have been participating in soccer, basketball, flag football, scouts. They have attended birthday parties, et cetera, all without wearing masks, and both case numbers and morbidity rates are not spiking. While the long-term effects of COVID-19 infection are unknown, so are the long-term effects on children, both physically and psychologically, due to long-term mask wearing. We do know that depression and drug abuse numbers have increased. At some schools, the lunchroom and recess, the kids are together with no masks required, yet at other times they have to put them on. Sometimes when they have been required, these kids are asked to run around for PE or, again, outside at recess in temperatures that are, in the 90s sometimes, wearing a mask. I am asking you to clarify the position of this board in regard to a mask requirement for the coming school year. I am also asking you to let me know the consequences of a student not complying with the county mandate for the remainder of this school year.
Mr. Broski, would you like to? Okay. We're going to be, I know Mr. Broski is going to be speaking about this later in the meeting.
So it will be clarified at that time? Okay, thank you.
Yes. Glee Glisson to discuss student progress.
Hey, friends.
How you doing?
All right. Hey, guys, I didn't write anything out, and it drives me nuts for somebody to read to me. So just be patient and let me talk to you from my heart. First thing I want to say to Carrie Dix of Clay High, I've got a niece at his school, and she has had wonderful teachers. She's had a wonderful time in sports there, and his teachers and coaches, Coach Moses and Miss Smeltzer, have just been just wonderful people to my niece and other students, and I wanted to thank them for that. What I want to talk about is my nephew started at Charles E. Bennett two years ago, and I came to y'all in August pre-planning, and this kid had a lot of problems. He was on a kindergarten level. He was just having the roughest time. It drove me nuts. We were doing everything we could for him. And it started at Charles E. Bennett with Dr. Cagle, the principal. She has worked her fingers to the bone doing everything she can. And Terry Comer, his first grade teacher, she did a wonderful, wonderful job. And y'all, I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna say his last name. Javier, his teacher, Paula Graham, and the ESE teacher, I want to say Miss Layden, I'm not sure, and I want to apologize for that. Those people have worked their tails off. And I want to tell you, if these people ever need a bonus, these people really deserve it. My nephew started at a kindergarten level in August. And in reading, let me go back. He didn't have much of a deficit at all in math. But in reading, Javier's my state champion He has grown 142 points. These people have been wonderful, and they have worked so hard. And I thank you so much for listening and supporting me. A lot of the board members, Mr. Broski, Paula Graham, she's probably gonna be in Chattahoochee soon because I've drove her crazy all year long. We gotta do this, we gotta do that. She said, step back, I got this. And the Cambridge program at Charles E. Bennett is wonderful. And I want you to know that. And you got a person right here, Ashley Gilhausen. She came up through Charles E. Bennett and did a great job. Thank you all for everything. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Glee.
Thank you, Coach Glisson. You were my PE teacher, kindergarten through fifth grade. Sixth grade was at the junior high then, but fond memories. Thanks for bringing them back.
We have reached the point in our agenda where we are going to hopefully adopt the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Ms. Gilhausen moved approval. Ms. Bullock seconded the motion. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed signify. Not hearing any negatives. The vote passes 5-0. Mrs. Kidwell, would you come to the podium, please, and provide a CCEA update?
Well, good evening. It's May, and that's why we do it, right there. It feels like every day this year, there's been a new challenge, and Clay County teachers and district leadership and teacher leadership through CCEA have worked diligently to try to overcome so many things. Public schools know that May is not just spring, it's testing season. And so kids know that too. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of angst for the kids, for the teachers. We got a little relief for our district and for our kids through the special emergency order that came out the beginning of April. That emergency order was regarding spring testing and accountability measures. I'm happy to say that some of those provisions took a lot of weight off kids and a lot of weight off the district. In case the audience didn't know, by default, school grades will not be given. In the event a school would benefit from receiving a school grade, perhaps Charles E. Bennett, maybe they'll say, I'm a turnaround school and we've blew it out of the water this year. They can petition for a waiver and they can get that grade. So that's really forward thinking there. Students have met all graduation requirements other than standardized test requirements. They're going to be allowed to graduate. FSA is not going to keep them from doing that. Standardized tests won't keep them from graduating. Students will not be retained in third grade on the basis of SFA scores. That's really good news for all those third graders who have struggled this year. We'll catch them up, don't worry. Classes with an EOC test do not have to use the EOC score to calculate students' final grades. I had a phone call the other day from a teacher and said, hey, I heard that I don't have to count this EOC score if it's not good for the kid. Well, what happens to me? I said, let me check on that. Unfortunately, this emergency order does not provide the same protection for teachers. The DOE said we still must use student growth numbers, but we will give you some flexibility in using those numbers. So this year, teachers have worked their heart out. They've gone above and beyond for their students. In the midst of a pandemic, they showed up. They innovated. They changed course in the middle in December. Some of them took on completely new grades, completely new jobs, completely new platforms, from virtual to brick and mortar. Sometimes doing both. A couple periods of this, a couple periods of that. They made it up as they went along, and they did a phenomenal job. I got a lot of calls. Hey, the kids aren't tuning in. What do? I'm like calling the parents, and no one's answering. They worked harder than they've ever worked in this year. No one wants teachers to be harmed by test scores that the state has deemed unreliable for students' progress, unreliable to grade schools, but yet teachers are going to be held to that student data. No one believes it's fair to link teacher pay to testing data. No one believes it's fair to link teacher surplusing to student data. That's unreliable. Yet that is what will happen if we don't do something about it. Luckily, it's Clay County, right? So we work so well together. I've spoken to every one of the board members, and we're all in agreement. We don't want teachers to be penalized. I've spoken to Mr. Broski. He agrees as well. That's the farthest thing from our minds. We definitely don't want to penalize our teachers. We have to do something about this. Now we have to be careful. We have to stay within the letter of the law, which is to use a student growth model. But we want to make sure that we use also what the Commissioner of Education has allowed us to do, and that's to be flexible. We want to be flexible. So we have a meeting next week, I'm very happy to say, with Mr. Broski to troubleshoot this issue. Luckily, other districts in the state have already started. We have a lot of roadmaps out there. So let me tell you about some of the things, some of the districts that are working on this and have already come up with a plan. Osceola, Baker, Polk, Bay, Flagler, Volusia, they have all come up with plans to hold their teachers from being harmed by testing data, by raising cut scores, by choosing different measures, by figuring out a way to work around a VAM score that could damage a teacher's ability to get a pay raise, a VAM score that could damage a teacher's ability to keep their job. So I am very hopeful moving forward that the district is going to do that, and I will be telling my people when they call, because they call me all the time. We're working together to figure out a way around this, and I thank you all for your ears today when I called. I appreciate that, and I look forward to resolving this crisis. Just one more challenge. It's May. We don't have too much longer, and then here comes summer. Yay! I'll be calling. Bye.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts, would you please come up and give us the CESPA update?
Good evening to all. My name is Lonnie Roberts, president of CESPA. Everybody is smiling because it is at the end of the school year. Yay, team. But maintenance still goes on throughout the whole summer, so we just like to get people out of our way so we can do our job. A couple of things I like to just speak about. One, I like to talk about the principals. I'd like to say Ms. Halter, is she still here? I told her that she was going to do this when she was just nominated in the beginning. I was at her school so much, she actually told me that I was an honorary faculty member at the school because we was upgrading this system in her school for intercom because they had none in the hallways. And so me and my coworkers, we were there for a good long time. And I basically seen her and the assistant principal every single day. So congratulations again. So far, the principals have been doing great. I just want to put out some word. If you are a high school principal for those that are out there. You've been doing great in your stadiums. Graduation is right around the corner. I'm a maintenance person. I do stadium sound system along with my coworkers. Please don't mess them up. Please. We have been taxed. We've got ahead of some of the problems. We've solved some. Parts are coming in, but we will have graduations even at Vidju High. I hear that they're going to have theirs in their stadium also. So if you're a high school principal and you're having a graduation, please tell them to be nice to the system until graduation. That's all we ask, so we can all be gone and everybody can be nice, because that is our Super Bowl of the year here in the county. Other than that, thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.
Thank you, Ronnie. Exactly. Mr. Roberts, sorry. I'm sorry, Lonnie. I should know better. I've only been on knowing you for how many years, but hey. Mr. Superintendent, it's time for your update.
Okay, only 42 slides this evening. A couple of things. A lot of celebrations today. You know, it felt really good in the beginning of the meeting to celebrate at the end of the year. That's pretty much traditional. I always say school years go up and down, and usually this time of year is really the most intense. I've done 31 years now, and usually about May 15th, everybody starts to love one another again. And it's because they all see the end in sight, and right now we're in that 2-week doldrum leading up to when everybody loves one another. So I ask for everybody just to kind of hang in there. We're almost there. I don't count down days. In fact, as a principal inside of the teacher workroom, teachers would inevitably put a number of days left of school. None of the teachers out there would do this, of course, but they would say, hey, there's 22 days left, right? And I was always the principal that erased that and put something like 87 days to pre-planning. Let's go. And somehow that wasn't appreciated. I appreciated it and thought it was quite clever, but we should always be looking forward. And so today, I've got several things that I'm going to cover, and then I'm adding 2 new ones to the end. I'm going to address where do we go from here, as Ms. Smith had alluded to. What do we do next year? So I'm going to address that topic, and I'm also throw Keystone onto my topic list. So I reserve the right to amend my presentation as we go along. So as you saw, Ms. Halter winning the Florida Principal of the Year, congratulations to her. That is so huge. It's not only huge for Ms. Halter, but it's also huge for Clay County. And I don't think I was eloquent enough when I was at the microphone prior, just because I was excited, to kind of point out how big this is for all of us. You know, obviously it's a great individual achievement, but also it reflects on our district as a whole. And so congratulations again, Jen. Teacher Appreciation Week. You know, there is no doubt teachers are the very foundation. They're the glue that keep the education wheels rolling. And so thankful for our teachers out there. Here's some pictures of various events that were going on, a lot of creative events. I even saw some food trucks pulling up and all kinds of stuff to celebrate our teachers. Take a look at what teachers have experienced. Last March, we shut schools down on a Friday, don't come back, then changing the whole mode in which we teach. And then the whole beginning of the year. How many people remember back to August when all of the, there was 2 jobs that, I always say there was 2 jobs that people didn't want in August. That was governor of a state or a superintendent of the schools. Because if you recall, the opening of schools was quite controversial. And depending on where you live, it still is. And I'm very thankful that we live in the state of Florida and live in Clay County as far as that goes. So no doubt our teachers have done an amazing job adapting to the environment that they've been placed in as a result of the pandemic. Let's see. The elementary and secondary art show. I'm always amazed when I go to those events because I have absolutely zero artistic ability. And when I go there, I'm just amazed. The elementary art show, what kids can do at that age is impressive. Of course, the secondary folks, I kind of expect that. But I go to the elementary one and I'm awed by how young they are and their art. So I'm very proud of this board's dedication to the arts, and it was reflective in the show. Math field day. I got to admit, I was a rookie at math field day. And I felt like a rookie too, because I didn't know some of the terminology. And I made the mistake of calling them math athletes. And then I was quickly corrected that that's not correct. And so I promised to do better next year. But just the thought of more than 300 kids coming out on a Saturday, and I forget what school it was, but I think it was Argyle, and all the parents were in the car on their phones. So I went up and I was taking photos with the kids, and they're all next to me. All of a sudden I heard this noise, and they were holding a computer up at me. And it was all the parents in the parking lot, all waving and clapping. And I thought, oh, if this isn't 2021, I don't know what is, right? But I was extremely proud of the organization of that event. I don't know if Miss Radle's still in here. I see Miss Tito back there. Just to kind of put stuff on the fly like that and come up with a different way of doing it was quite amazing. And there's some photos of the students there, and there's Miss Caracas, Miss Bullock, and myself in the bottom there. Climate survey. Let me say this about our climate survey. We did our climate survey this year in-house. Miss Fogarty and her team did an amazing job of creating a climate survey. For those of you who don't realize this, and I think every adult here knows this, whether people want to come to work at that place, at that building, or not, says a lot about your organization. But one of the things that we left out in the past, and I'm kind of embarrassed by it, is students. Do students, in essence, like, for lack of a better word, going to school? And I always used to have an informal mission statement. Every school that I've ever been at, it used to go like this: I want X school to be the kind of place where students want to come to school and employees want to work there. That's the true measure of an organization, and that's a true measure of climate. Now, this is official in the sense that the questions that were used on the climate survey were from PBIS and CASEL and FEEPS, which are all scientific recognized organizations or programs, and the data really is reflective. The other part of this that was kind of scary is, do you really give a climate survey in a pandemic, right? Is that like a smart move or not? And so there was much discussion, about that, whether that's a good move or not. And just like assessment, I would probably use the same argument. I would say it's always good to have a baseline, but always to be reflective of what the data actually says or doesn't say, right? And so part of that is leaders should take a look at the data, the full data. I'm going to give you, the brief overview here. But then what is the plan with that data? How do you work to improve the climate and culture of a school so that, one, students want to be there, and two, the adults want to work there, right? And if you have those two things going, then success is going to happen. And so without further ado, let's see, I'm going to, that's the problem when you actually write it on a piece of paper. The first group of people I'm going to bring up are the people that had the highest completion rate. One of the things that happens in surveying is the percentage of people that actually take the survey is extremely important. If you don't have a representative sample, then the survey kind of loses some of the value or some of the validity of the survey. So I want to recognize I've got our three highest completers, and I'm going to call them all up at one time and recognize them, and then take a picture up here, and then we'll go on to elementary and secondary. So without further ado, the three highest percentage increases. Clay Hill Elementary, Principal Adele Reed. Oakley Village Elementary, Principal Juanitra Dixon. And Coppergate Elementary, Principal Melissa Metz. Okay, next we have the top 5 overall. Okay, so I'm going to flash it on the screen, but then I'll just call them up. First place was Fleming Island Elementary, Principal Jennifer Collins. Come on down. Second was Shadow Lawn Elementary, Principal Nancy Crowder. Third was Tynes Elementary, Principal Sarah Brennan. Fourth, McCray Elementary, Principal Tammy Winkler. Fifth was Orange Park Elementary, Principal Carolyn McCullough. Okay, now the secondary folks. You guys will probably be surprised who's on top. So in first place, Green Cove Springs Junior High Principal Jennifer Halter. In second, Ridgeview High School Principal Becky Murphy. Third is Middleburg High School Principal Martin Aftuck. Fourth is Keystone High School Junior High Principal Lori Burke. And then fifth, Fleming Island High School Principal Tom Pittman. Not quite sure who we haven't recognized in the district tonight, but I'm sure I can work it in by the end. So in all seriousness, being a principal this year is more challenging than every other year, and many people don't know this, but when all this happened in the spring and we were preparing for the next school year, when you work in the district office, you're experiencing this every day. Because you're getting phone calls from people, concerns, all of that. And I'll never forget the meeting that I had with principals in the Fleming Island High School cafeteria. And at the end of that, they all just looked at me like, oh my, what did I get myself into? And I always tell the story of the burning of the boats where Cortez had landed And some of his folks were not so confident, and they said, hey, what's our first move? And he said, first step is to burn those boats. In other words, there's no going back. Here we are, let's move forward. And I think they all realized then, and then when I had them change their schedules, like 4 days before school started, I think they all realized that we were in for a special year this year. And they all rose to the occasion, so I'm very, very thankful for all of them. Okay, Clay Teachers Lead, Superintendent's Roundtable. So here's what that was. The other day, we met with all of our Teachers of the Year, the Clay Education Foundation, the consortium of Florida Education Foundations, district leadership. Ms. Bola was also there. And we asked them like 4 simple questions. We said, hey, this year, what do you want to keep and probably will not stay? What do you want to keep that will probably stay? What don't you want to keep and probably will not stay? And then don't want to keep, but will probably stay. In other words, what went well this year and what didn't? And it just seems to me, and this will kind of lead into Ms. Smith's question about next year, is one of the things you ought to do is take a look at and analyze how things went in order to help guide the future and make decisions about the future. And who better to talk to than there was like 20 Teacher of the Year folks in there and say, hey, what went well, what didn't go well, et cetera, et cetera. Inevitably, interestingly enough, they had several things that they said, hey, went really well, and we hope and we think it's going to stay. On that list were things like Google Classroom, Google Meets, virtual PD and collaboration across schools, virtual IEPs and 504 meetings, higher participation of parents involved in that process now that we went to that kind of format. Pear Deck and Jamboard, more communication tools, a lot about technology and all of that. So at the end of the day, they talked a lot about what kinds of innovations happen and what we're going to do in the future relative to that. And, you know, and time will tell, but it's something that we, all of us in the education field are working on is what impact is all this going to have in the future? If you would have said Dave Broski would have been on a computer in a Google Meet with 67 other people all at the same time conversing, and we obediently would hit the raise your hand button at the same time, I would have said you're crazy. First of all, I wouldn't even know what you were talking about a year ago. And now look at us. You know, so we wonder the impact of all of that on the future. And what better group to talk to about the impact than our Teachers of the Year? Was an exciting event, and the foundation did a great job with that. For May celebrations, School Lunch Hero Day. All right, the lunch folks, May 7th. National School Nurses Day is May 12th. Graduation is May 28th. And, you know, just to kind of clear up some misnomers about graduation, you know, the number of tickets that we have for graduation is based on stadium capacity. And so we've allowed capacity, whatever capacity is for each group. And I think that has kind of appeased everybody. I think everybody realizes that even the Jaguars have a maximum capacity at their stadium. There's a number. They just don't say unlimited, and whoever wants to come, right? And so maximum capacity seemed like the most fair way to deal with the number of people that attend. COVID-19 reminders. I got the standard reminders. Hey, if you're sick, stay home. Don't come to school. And that'll kind of lead me into Ms. Smith's question, which is, you know, where do we go from here? There is no doubt that a lot of information has come and gone over the course of this particular school year. There's no doubt that everybody within the organization has learned a lot over the year. I can tell you for a fact, I kind of lament and kind of in a comical way, I think back to the way things were back in March. And the example I always use is we used to quarantine computers in plastic bags for 14 days because that was the recommendation at that time. Principals, how many people out there remember that? lots of plastic bags out there, right? And over time, things change and things evolve over time. So originally, when we wrote the Smart Restart Plan, it was designed, one, to meet the mandate of DOE and also provide those assurances that are contained within that document. But it was also to provide a roadmap, for this school year. And as things change, so too that plan must change, okay? So I'm proposing that I'll bring a new plan, a much condensed plan, to the board for a vote at the next board meeting. Within that plan, it'll address face coverings as well as volunteers within our schools. It'll keep many of the common sense precautions that we have within our school district. Things like social distancing would still be a very smart thing to do, as well as the way that we currently conduct lunches and other operational types of standards that we had, as well as cleaning. So I look forward to bringing that to the board for consideration. I look for it to be ready by the time we have our workshop. Under the Administrative Procedures Act, in order to change a board policy, it not only requires notice, but then requires a 28-day period. So, we've received a letter from the Commissioner of Education. We've also received notification from the State Surgeon General. We've received notification from many, many people on both sides of every issue out there, and plenty of communication that's out there. I think it's time to seriously look at our policies and then make the adjustments within that framework in order to prepare for next year. The reason why I'm bringing it now is just because the time frame to amend a policy is such where you have to wait 28 days to kind of complete the process. Contained within there, of course, will always be the idea that if something were to go drastically the other way, that we could adapt to it. And so that's the plan, in regard to the question that was asked. It would seem to me that with 20 days of school left, I'm not even sure how many days are left, it wouldn't have the time frame in which to amend the policy within the 28 days. And so I think that that's the plan moving forward. That would be my full intent, and I plan on bringing that to the board. In regard to Keystone, let me just say this, and I don't know if you noticed this, Ms. Bullock, but every single one of us is wearing blue here today. All the senior staff, Ms. Ellis, Ms. Troutman, Dr. Legutko. I didn't even call Bruce, but he wore blue because he's instinctive that way. And then Ms. Honora, Ms. Dennis, the staff in the back. And I would just say this, we care about the Keystone community. I care about all children. I became superintendent of school for all students in Clay County, and the students of Keystone are equally as important to me as every other student within our district. And I know that you're passionate about this topic. I totally get it. I get the emails and all of those kinds of things that we do to draw attention to it. And my thought would be that once the study is done, that the board is going to have a workshop and discuss the issue and move it forward. As far as the sales tax goes, we're voting today on the Oversight Committee in D1, I believe it is. And I would just say that the most important thing to me is the showing of transparency to folks, and where every penny that comes in, literally, and every penny that's expended from those funds needs to be totally transparent to the community and be listed on our website, et cetera. And the role of that committee is to ensure that the taxpayer money is going to be spent in the way in which the referendum stated that it would be. And when I look at it, currently right now, when you're talking about needs of schools that are just out there right now, you're looking at about $4.3 million of HVAC needs. So when you're talking about HVAC needs, we're talking about, and I'm not going to name schools because then they're going to say, I've got an old air conditioner. But you're talking about ones of 27 years old, for HVAC all over the district, all the way from, I'm going to say it, I hope I don't get in trouble, all the way from Montclair, all the way down to your part of the neighborhood, right? And then when you're talking about roofing needs, we're looking at approximately $5.1 million in roofing needs. So when you're talking about all the way from W.E. Cherry and just about every community is there. And so really and truly, when I look at this, I don't really look at the community just as the community. I look at it as an entire district, and certainly Keystone is a valued part of that district. So right now, it was estimated that we would receive $13.4 million over the course of a year. To date, what's been collected is $1,790,062.09 has been collected, which is essentially 2 months, January and February. There's a delay in when it gets to the district. So, and maybe I'm skipping ahead to the next item, but one of the things I want to reassure the public would be that, one, the committee's purpose is to ensure that we are spending every single penny on the appropriated referendum language that was used for the spending of this funds. And then whenever I look at this, the need certainly outweighs the amount of revenue that's brought in. And so it's a real blessing. I'm proud of the board for putting it on there, and I'm proud of the citizens of Clay County for voting for it and investing in their schools. It's important. It's important for everyone. So I don't think I missed any topics. I think I covered it all.
Thank you, Mr. Brodsky. Moving on to the discussion items. Our first discussion item is to approve the nominations for the Citizen Oversight Committee. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Ms. Karakis moved approval. Ms. Gilhausen seconded it. Is there any discussion?
I would just like to say what a nice process this was.
Oh, yes.
The people that I had, everybody was, very enthusiastic. And just, I'm excited that, and I've met people that I didn't even know, so it's very, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And I agree 100%. It was awesome meeting people, and a shout out to all of the citizens who sent an application into the school system, because I know we couldn't use everyone, which was very frustrating because we wanted to. But it's heartening to know that there are that many citizens that are willing to step up. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to our second discussion item, there is no human resource special action today, so we're going to move on to the third discussion item, to approve the uniform pricing and uniform definition for, quote, summer enrichment programs, unquote, offered by outside, quotes, organizations. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
I almost feel like it should be Mrs.
You wanna
Bullock, though
repeat
she
that?
brought it a while ago.
Ms. Karakis moved. Do I hear a second? Ms. Clark seconded it. Any discussion? We had a pretty good discussion about this during the workshop, and thank you again, Dr. Legutko, for providing that information for us. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. There we go. School Board Attorney remarks. Mr. Bickner, do you have any remarks this evening?
Just a little bit of information. I wanted to point out for anybody that's watching, that's been now appointed to this committee, that the first meeting will take place the first Tuesday of June, which is the 1st of June. In speaking with Mr. Fossa, I think that we've kind of settled on, and Ms. Ellis, we've kind of settled on at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll take place at the multipurpose room. And I will send out a notice and other information to all of the people that are on the committee and all of the ex officio people. I expect certainly that in attendance, I'll be there to help with the organization setup and to go over things that are outlined in 1.14, which is the board policy that created this, and to get it rolling. And I think that Ms. Ellis and Mr. Foss will be there to help point the way as to where we're going and how we're going to get things done. So I just want everybody to, that if they're listening or if they're here, I want them to understand that they'll have a bunch of information coming within the next probably 5 or 6 days.
Awesome. And you will contact them directly? So
Absolutely, I
in
will.
essence, we are still, we know who they are, but we're stepping aside at this point, and now it's in
All
your
I need
ballgame.
is, and I think probably Ms. Dennis has all their addresses and things of that nature, which is what I need to get in touch.
Through all the
So
applications.
we're ready to
Great.
roll.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding that for Mr. Bickner? Any other comments, Mr. Bickner? Thank you. Ms. Clark, would you like to start this evening with school board remarks?
I wanted to mention a couple of things real quick, hopefully. I believe it was 2 meetings ago, Citizen Dave Coughlin came and spoke about a video that's being used with our Kelly services for hiring substitute teachers. And I just wanted everyone to know that, and thank you, Superintendent Broski, for pulling that, so that we don't need to say any more. So, and as far as the math field day, it was fun. But I was teasing about who the winners were because they allowed me to grade the geometry section. So you might want to check that carefully. And as far as District 2 schools go, I think every one of our schools are very, very old. So I'm not going to let anybody down. I think we all know that we have to work at this in an equitable fashion. And I think we have to look at the statistics too and realize when we say that one school's 110% over capacity, if you're comparing a Keystone, that may be 30 students, where a Patterson, that may be 100 students. So we're going to do what's best with the growth coming and make everything work. And I think we've got a good planning group that will make that happen. So I think that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Karakis?
All right, thank you. Before I get into some of my comments, I'm back to Mayor Lake. I'm thinking of what she said on the 206 to 236 new homes that could be coming. And I wanted to ask Ms. Ellis, Ms. Ellis? Yes. I want to look at you, but talking to my mic at the same time. Were you aware of this growth that's going on in Keystone?
It has not come to the DRC yet, the Development Review Committee yet.
Okay.
So we have not seen it yet.
So do you guys track the permits that are pulled in Keystone?
Yes, we do.
You
It's all
do?
part of the county.
Because she made it sound like the 150 to 180 homes, that was already in the process.
We have not seen that yet.
Okay, so I would guess that you are going to look into that, correct?
Yes, we can.
All right,
We
I
can do that.
appreciate that,
Mhm.
thank you.
Sure.
I'm just still in my head thinking, if it's 25 students for every 100 homes, it could be 50 to 75 students coming. That could be an awful lot of kids.
So you do bring up a good point, because even the subdivision, and I can never say this correctly, Jim, Ashire, which is in Green Cove, just came out, and that is, 1,886 homes. And so one day you hear that this might happen, and then one day
Right.
it's
right.
on the map.
Well, I agree there's growth going on, but in addition to growth in Keystone, as Mrs. Bullock's pointed out numerous times, they have an overcrowded school down there too that also happens to be one of the oldest in the county. So I just heard talking about the new growth in Keystone. I had no idea, and it's not been presented to the board at any of our 5-year facility plans or anything that Mr. Foss has brought to us showing the growth of that area. So that's why I was asking, were they
Yeah,
looking into it or not?
Yes, ma'am. It would be brought forward once it's officially, you know, substantiated.
Thank you. And I'm glad you are looking at the reopening plan. You know, we've gotten these emails, and I think it's really important that we look at our mask policy, especially since not all our board members are wearing them. And I'm not trying to call anybody out, but the community sees that, and we're on school property, and, you know, it's like we're violating our own policy. So it would probably be good for us to address it and figure out what we're going to do for the next year. Like you said, it's got to stay status quo for the remainder of this year. There's not enough time, but June, bring it to us. Let's make a decision and move forward. And hopefully we will just be eliminating them completely, but who knows what we'll be doing. So, and you pretty much touched on everything we've done for the month with, you know, the elementary and secondary art show in the mall. That was, you're right, these kids are so talented. And I remember when it used to be in the center of the mall, and they had all of them there at the same time. Tons and tons of stuff, lots of work. We did go to Ms. Kidwell invited us to a food truck at Fleming Island Elementary to celebrate their membership, and that was fun. And Ms. Clark, if we get back to a normal math day, you will love it. This was great. I mean, your staff, you guys went above and beyond and did a wonderful job. It was truly perfect how it was set up. But when we have it in an auditorium, when the kids can come back and the parents are there, that is so much fun. And we have to give a shout out to Coppergate Elementary. Some of us were there for the Rappin' Beats Fairy Tales. And that was really cute. And that's our new performing arts school in its first year, second year, in its second year. And they were very, very cute. And then I don't know if anybody was able to catch the ACE Mentoring Awards, the virtual. If you ever get the chance to go to that in person too, you will be so incredibly impressed. And then I'd just like to give a shout out to our teachers. We know that you go above and beyond for our students. You're the backbone of our school. All our staff is, but this is your week, so we're going to recognize you, and we're going to recognize our school nurses next week. And I believe, isn't it also Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May? So we're just thinking of everyone. And I guess the final thing is, Ms. Halter, thank you for making us proud. You make Clay County look good. And we're so excited that you were chosen, and so proud of you, and just we celebrate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Karakas. Ms. Bullock?
Thank you.
Oh,
I have
I'm
one other
sorry.
thing.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
One other thing. I've got my notes all jumbled. Because of this situation with this agenda item and the mayor speaking during public comment, I'd like to ask the board if we would want to readdress that part of our policy so that that doesn't happen to one of us again in the future. And Mr. Bickner can look at it, review it, bring it in, and maybe just remove the word action so that if any of us want to place something on as a presentation or a recognition, we can do that and not have any obstacles in our way. So how does the board feel about that? Is there consensus to move forward and readdress that policy?
Well, we're supposed to review our policies every so often. I don't know when was the last time we reviewed that one, but
That
How
was,
long?
How many? 3?
It was
Okay.
3, and when we did it, and 3 of us were here at the time, I think we all were under the impression that a board member had the ability to place an item on the agenda regardless of what it was. And like I said, I'm on this board 11 years, and I've never had something denied that wasn't on the agenda. Ms. Gilhousen, I know you've placed items on, and they've been put on. Ms. Bola, I'm sure the same with you. And I just think it's our agenda. You know, not one board member carries any more weight than the other. And I think if anybody wants to bring something, we should have the ability to have it on the agenda. We can discuss it while it's on the agenda. And I don't think a board member's item should ever be denied. So I'd like us to address that and rewrite that policy.
I don't mind revisiting policy ever if it's worth a discussion.
Yep.
So maybe Mr. Bickner can bring that to us at a further, workshop down the road, and we can, the next month, I don't know how long it will take him to review and look at what other,
I think reviewing policy is always a very important part of our job.
Yep.
And something that we need to continue to do.
And I also want to tell you, Mrs. Bull, I appreciate that you allowed the mayor to continue tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
And I do
truly,
appreciate
at
that.
our, I feel like I'm saying in defense, and it's really not.
Please don't be on the defense.
It's when we spoke about this at the workshop, I went through every single thing that I thought we could use or we could place Mayor Lake under. Recognitions and awards was not appropriate because we're not recognizing, like Ms. Bullock, you said something about the Art Guild. We recognized their commitment to art, not just in the city of Green Cove Springs, but also to the programs that they were supporting in our community, in our schools. Here we recognize the state champions, et cetera, math field day. Mayor Lake was a guest to our board meeting. It wasn't a recognition, it was truly a presentation, a public comment. She brought public comment from the city of Keystone Heights. And I felt that once we went through all of this in the workshop, I truly felt that was the best place for this and knew that we would give her the respect that she deserves. And obviously, as I said, we can always review the policy. I don't want to get to the point where we open it up to what we had previously. When we had changed the policy 3 years ago. We did it
The 10-minute speaker.
with the 10 minutes.
Correct.
It was like,
And I
wait a
completely
minute,
agree with that.
yeah, and that's the only, I think
Right.
that's one of the concerns that we were thinking, I was thinking of at the time. I thought, you open it up for one, who knows what other policies or what other things are going to be coming up.
I
thought
understand.
And we didn't need to change the policy to serve Mayor Lake tonight
Right.
and give her the opportunity to speak to us.
Well,
So,
I think the issue isn't so much that, because the first email Mayor Lake was requesting, asked to
Ms.
put her
Bullock
on.
requested.
I think my issue more is that a board member was prevented from putting an item on the agenda. And you could have put it down under D5, it could have D4, it could have been a discussion item, but it was a board member requesting to place an item on our agenda that was denied. That's what I have issue with, that it was denied as a board member asking to put an item on the board agenda. Now, Mr. Bickner sent us policy, sent us statute, and the word action is in there saying that a
Right.
board member may place an item on for action.
Which would
Nowhere
end
in
up in
any
the
of there
discussion
does it
then,
say
right.
a board member may not place an item on for a presentation. Nowhere does it say a board member may not in statute or policy. So I'm kind of going around with that and thinking, we really do need to just readdress the policy as a board and choose language that we think, and ask Mr. Bickner to bring back language that would allow us, if I wanted to recognize something or you wanted to recognize, or Ms. Clark or whatever, we had that flexibility. It's not opening it up to the 10-minute speakers again. I agree with you, and then the board said at the time, we were gonna remove it, and if a community member wanted to speak about an item, all they had to do was contact a board member, and the board member would place that on the item for them. If you go back and watch the meeting, that's probably verbatim of what was said. But that's what happened this month, and it wasn't placed on the agenda. So
I
I'm just
understand.
asking that we as a board, in a nice collaborative way, readdress our policy.
There you go.
All right?
Mr. Bickner, did you hear that?
All of it.
Got it.
So as I hear it, the board has directed me as a whole to redraft the policy and meet those requirements that Ms. Karakas has set forth. Yes?
That's
So
what I would like,
it-
so that any board member could bring an item.
Okay, it basically needs to be a consensus of the board, and Merriam-Webster defines consensus as everyone.
Okay.
So I'm hearing 5 board members say to do that, am I correct?
Yes.
It doesn't require a vote.
I think we're talking
we're
about
not
first
voting on it,
reviewing the
just-
policy. That's where I was
Exactly.
coming
But we
from
have
as
to
well.
give him
Not
direction, a
correct,
consensus.
and that's why.
Well, from our discussion, your hangup was one word in
Pretty
the policy.
much, yeah.
So how about instead of him drafting a new policy, we just review the current policy?
Right.
And we
Right.
can edit it if we all
Right.
agree
But,
at that
but
meeting.
in order for him to do that,
I'll fix the
we-
problem, but
5
I'll
of us
probably
have
come to
say
you more
yes.
than one way.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Thank you.
The second thing is that you don't draft board policies ever to tell you what you can't do. Board policies are written in such a way that they are inclusive, not exclusive. So any policy I've ever written says, the statute says you can do this because you have the ability to govern yourselves, and so these are the things you can do, or you're allowing or creating. So that's how it would be written.
I understand that. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that was all, thank you. And I appreciate the conversation about it.
You sure we can move on now?
Wait a minute, one more thing.
One more thing. Ms. Bullock.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank all the Oversight Committee members. I think that was, for them to step up is wonderful, and I appreciate that we were all able to get really quality people. Of course, congratulations to our athletes and our math field day winners. Of course, Keystone right now is playing a regional ball game in Keystone at 7 o'clock. So they won the district, and now they're, it's been a banner year for them, and I'm very grateful for them. I'd like to thank Bryce and her committee. We were able to walk around the high school and the elementary school, and glad I was included in that, and also included in a follow-up meeting with the architects. Of course, we all went to, or several of us went to the musical at Lake Asbury Junior High, and then the food truck, thanks to CESPA, to CCEA at Fleming Island Elementary, and then, of course, a math field day. And Mary and I were both at the Clay Virtual Academy's Teacher of the Year, so that was great too. That was a lot of fun. They had a Western theme, and we certainly enjoyed it. And just in closing, last month I was deeply concerned about a comment that was made at the meeting as I was discussing Keystone Schools, and I was criticized that this was considered a pet project of mine. Upgrading all of our educational facilities is the responsibility of this entire board and district. And the public has also spoken by approving the sales tax referendum. So I'm guilty of advocating the best for our schools, as we all should be. Thank you. That's all I have.
Ms. Gilhausen.
I think you guys covered everything. I just want to wish everyone a happy end to the school year. Let's all finish strong. It being Teacher Appreciation Week, I wouldn't want to let the meeting go by without expressing just how much we depend on all of you to do the job that you do day in and day out with our kids. I can't speak enough praise personally, having been a Clay County student and graduate, and now having 3 of my own kids benefiting from just the excellent instruction that they receive here in this county. And I'm so grateful for each of you, for your commitment to your profession, for your love for children, and just hope you have a happy, happy summer.
I think everyone is anticipating summer with bated breath.
Yes.
I count 19 days. I don't know. You guys keep saying 22. I'm looking at the positive. Couple of fun things that we were able to do, I was able to do this past month. On the first day of testing, FSA testing, it was also fair. The fair was going on. And the state mandated that that's when the FFA competition would have to go on as well. And judging the FFA competition is one of my favorite things all year, every year. And no, they do not allow me to judge the tractor part of this. I am more into a few of the other things, so the creed and things of that nature, but had the opportunity to participate in that. Lake Asbury Junior High's musical, the all-county band. Oh my gosh, the concert at the Thrasher Horn, when you consider that some of these students, here again, those junior high students have learned to play music in 2 years. And they were playing some incredible music at the Thrasher Horn. It was awesome being able to return to that. The Clay Virtual Luncheon yesterday for Teacher Appreciation Week was a hoot, as well as the Fleming Island mock wedding. I mean, it was lovely. And thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Cook for allowing us to do that on their property, right on the river. It's a mock wedding for our hospitality students, the photography students, music students. They had everybody involved, and it was delightful, with the pastor saying, "You will not take the bride, nor will you take the groom." And it was, I mean, the whole thing was great. They set up caterers, they did the whole thing. An excellent experience for these students, hands-on experience. Mr. Broski, the opportunity for our Teachers of the Year to sit with you and tell you what they think, I think is beyond measure. And I know how much you appreciate our teachers. I know all of us appreciate our teachers. And the opportunity to be heard, the opportunity for someone to listen is priceless. And on that note, I want to wish all of you a happy May. We'll look forward to seeing many of you at graduation. The meeting is adjourned.